Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. In today's video, we are going to discuss about PIN obligations. Majority of you must have read in the news that PIN now has been divided into two. That is PIN obligation and PIN no obligation. What do I mean by this? Previously, when you registered for PIN, you also needed to indicate the obligation that you are registering for. Majority of us, we have registered for PIN because of income tax obligation. And if you look at your PIN, it is indicated there. For those people whose activities of generating income are subject to VAT, they have also registered for VAT. There is also another category of people whose activities attract excise duty. That is the domestic excise duty. They have also registered for that obligation. So basically, if you look at many people's PINs, you will find that majority of them had indicated income tax obligation, and especially the individual taxpayers. Now, over time, KRA has realized that there are so many people who file nil returns, and this means that those particular individuals or taxpayers, they have no income tax to report for any year of income. What KRA has done is it has decided you can get your PIN, but if you have no income, you don't have to register for that particular obligation. And KRA has introduced PIN with no obligation. I know the question is, why do people have to register for PIN? Many people, or basically almost everybody, has to register for PIN because PIN is the tax number. It is the number that is used to track whenever you're making any income. And previously, many people were just registering for PIN because it was a must. But one of the things that many people don't know is that PIN is the number that is going to be used to track your income for income tax purposes and anything else. If you look at where PIN is used when you're opening your bank account. PIN is also used when you're opening an account for electricity, for water, and also in large transactions. All those transactions involve exchange of money. And the assumption is that if you're opening a bank account, you must be having income. If you are opening an electricity account, then you must be having income. If you are opening a water account, you must be having income. And if you are transacting land, you must be having income. But that is not necessarily true. It's not. Why? Because there's so many people who open bank accounts and they don't have any income. For example, your child, once they hit 18 years, they want to have a bank account, and especially if they are going to university, it is a requirement by HELB or anybody else who is going to give them money that they must have a bank account. And for that, they will need a PIN. Because of the many areas where PIN is required, many people are forced to register for PIN. KRA is not really concerned about the people who don't earn income. Kenya Revenue Authority is about collecting tax. So if you don't have any income, you have no business being in their system, because what has ended up happening is that KRA has so many people who have registered for PIN, but very few people have any tax to pay. So what has KRA done? KRA has decided that yes, you have a PIN because of the many places where you need to use the PIN, but if you're not bringing in any tax, you don't have to register for any obligation. Therefore, they have introduced the PIN with no obligation. KRA announced this the other day, and this means that every single person who is going to be registering from now henceforth, there is PIN with no obligation. They have that opportunity. But what happens with the people who had previously registered and still they have no income? I believe because the law is supposed to be fair, one of the principles of tax is fairness, that KRA will also afford this opportunity to every other person who had registered but they have no income. I know someone may be asking, are there Kenyans who have no income? Yes, there are very many. Number one, students. Like I have said, most students are required to open bank accounts. And because of that requirement, they go ahead and they get PIN, yet they have no income. They do not generate any income in Kenya. They do not derive any income from Kenya. They don't. So they don't have to put in their income obligation because they don't have any income. Number two, Kenyans who live in the diaspora and their tax residency is in the diaspora. They don't generate any income in this country. But before they left this country, they had registered for PIN. And every year, they have to file nil returns. That is for income tax purposes. So that is another group that is going to benefit from PIN no obligation. We also have another group of Kenyans. Yes, they are here. Maybe they are retired, or maybe they are disabled, or whatever. They have no income. They don't have any income at all. Whatever money they will get in their phones, somebody is giving them. And of course, someone is sending to you some money. That is not income that is taxable. So those are three groups of people. That is the students, people in the diaspora, and also Kenyans who are here, but they have no income. And they are going to benefit from this. So what is it that you need to do from today henceforth? Number one, if there is anyone you know who is just about to get their PIN, whether your child or a friend or somebody you know, or even students that you're teaching in the class, you need to let them know that they can register for PIN, but PIN with no obligation. And especially those children who are in Form 4, because very soon they are going to hit 18 years and they will need to get their PINs. Number two, those people who are in the diaspora and they want to get their PINs, you need to alert them on this. And also any other Kenyan who is just about to get their PIN, but they have no income, then they can utilize this PIN with no obligation. I know there are very many other Kenyans who had registered and they have no income. We are still waiting to see what KRA will say. I don't know whether they have already done it, but many people are going to be removed from that, PIN with obligation. Whatever obligation you had put there, many people are going to be removed from that. But what normally happens is that if you had been registered and you had an obligation, PIN obligation, but you have no income, what KRA would normally do is to audit you or find out. Before they remove you, they probably need to find out whether you have been earning any income or not. You actually will may need to do exactly that. So go out and tell the others that now there is a PIN with no obligation. This was one of the best things that KRA can ever do, because it did not make any sense. If you have no income, you have no business filing new returns year in, year out. When KRA does something good, it is appropriate that we also congratulate them for this great move. I know many people don't want to hear about KRA. KRA is going to be there. I remember in school, someone said that some things are a necessary evil, and tax is a necessary evil, because it does not matter where you will go, but you still find yourself paying tax one place or another. And even if there's no government here, I can assure you, you'll pay tax to the religious. That is all for today. And we have been talking about PIN, and we are talking about PIN obligation and PIN with no obligation. And this was basically to just let you know that now you can register for PIN with no obligation. And until next time, stay blessed and stay well. This is your presenter, as usual, Dr.